So for those of you interested in Soviet cameras, there is a light meter called the Leningrad 8, which is the Leningrad 8. And I have not seen a video on YouTube that shows how to use it. Which, if you want a good deal, this light meter works fantastic. And I figured I'd be the first one to show you guys how to use it. So on this dial here, it says DIN or ISO, rough translation. So you set the ISO of the film you're working on, let's say 200, and then this is a little light shield that you put onto the viewfinder if you're gonna see what's ahead of you. Like if I point it straight ahead, in the bright sunlight, I'd want this on here. And I set it to 200, and then I'll be looking for these numbers here. Like, I have a light here. Let's see. So we're at, almost at 14 here. We're at, let's see, 14. So what we'll do is we'll crank this bottom dial, there's two dials, not this one that regulates the ISO, but this bottom dial that regulates the settings. So we're at, we'll say 14, and there's a little arrow right over here. There's this little arrow, and what you do is you crank your little dial to whatever your arrow is telling you, which now it's 13. We'll go 13. So for 13, that little arrow matches up with this arrow of how much light is right over here that the meter is detecting. And at f1.4, well, it'd probably be a shutter speed of 1/8,000th. At like f8, you can use 250. At f4, 1000. And this is for this small dial under here. Right over here is if you're using an old film like a movie camera, not a regular camera. So you'd essentially point the meter to what you want to take a picture of, follow this arrow, line up this arrow with the bottom dial, and it tells you your f-stop here and what your shutter speeds should be. Now, if you're in super dark areas, like say here, there's a little switch on the side of the meter. Well, there's two actually. This one on this left side moves the meterings, whatever you call it, closer to the window if it's really dark and you can't get a good reading, and it changes your numbers. If you watch, it's still 12, 12, 12 as the dial moves. At one position here, it gets slightly lower, so we're at 8. And we can crank this thing to 8, and your speeds up here vary. So like we're at if we're at 1/f4, well now it's at 9. If we're at f-stop 1.4, we can use 1/500th of a second, or f8 is 15, or 1/15th. If it's still not enough light, you can keep flipping it forward, and then you set the thing to 4, the dial. If it's dark bright, 4.5, which there's a little dot for, 4.5. And you can see that you can use f1.4 at roughly 15, f8 at 2 seconds. There's also this dial here that does nothing when it's so close up, but you can flip if it's, say, brighter, like you have your light as far away as you can, you'll have this cover on, and if, say, this little line, this the metering line is at a 12, you know you've maxed it out. You flip your little switch here, and you should be able, like, the light will change, the meter, like we're at, say, 8, we flip this and it goes down. So you can control both how far this thing is, the actual light meter, and you can control the numbers here if that's still not enough light, as well as the ISO and the DIN up here. Like if you're shooting at a ISO of 50, your numbers change here, versus if you're shooting at an ISO of 1600, you'd have a lot more light coming in. So I hope this helps someone figure out how to use their Leningrad 8, or if you're looking for a cheap and accurate light meter, I would definitely recommend this. I use it with a 120 camera and it's never failed me yet. Well, I hope this helps someone, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section, and I will leave a link to this on eBay in the description.